The Independent Weekly filed a public records request 2 years ago, and it has led to Marshal Pope now being charged with 7 felonies. He was held in contempt of court for lying on the stand and for disobeying the court's orders, both for mandamus and injunction, to produce the public records that were requested. He did not do so. He was held in contempt, and in the contempt he was sentenced to 30 days incarceration. 7 days of that was allowed to be served on home confinement, and the rest of it was suspended. And so he's on probation now. And during probation, you're supposed to be a good boy. You're supposed to play by the rules and show that you're going to be a good citizen and that you're entitled to be on probation instead of actually having to serve the sentence. There's several instances that have come up recently in connection with the money that he has used from his office for this purpose, monies that he's paying to himself. There was a press conference about that yesterday that was headed up by the recall movement against him. And we found that to be of concern, and also the fact that once again he's effectively destroyed a public record. He was directed by the legislative auditor to obtain an attorney general's opinion validating that it's okay for him to receive fees in excess of his statutory compensation. He's been receiving fees on average about $100,000 in excess of that for the last 3 years. That's of great concern because it comes out of the public money, and I don't know of any way for him to pay that back. The Attorney General received his request on March 28th for that opinion. It's important to know that there was a prior opinion on the same statute for the Marshal in Shreveport, and that Marshal in Shreveport was said, no, you can't have those extra fees. The same statute or exception that applies to the Marshal from Shreveport applies to the Marshal from Lafayette. Apparently Marshal Pope received a call or confirmation that the Attorney General's opinion was going to be prepared in April. He received subsequent call that it was ready, and we received a letter from the Attorney General's office pursuant to a public records request confirming that he had been contacted at least 5 times by the Attorney General's office to release the opinion that he had requested. He did not respond to them, so they withdrew his request and advised him that he could have that document at any time that he wanted it. The problem with this is the Attorney General's opinion that he requested is a public record. And so by not accepting that public record, he essentially destroyed that public record, or attempted to do so. He had it within his control to obtain that public record. And under the Public Records Act, if he has it in his control, he has to produce it. It also requires that he maintain that public record for 3 years. So he's violated that portion of the Public Records Act as well. The entire litigation with the Independent is based upon the Louisiana Public Records Act and the custodian's obligation to produce records and to preserve them. It's obvious over the last 2 years that Marshal Pope has not learned that that is a really important duty that he has, and he's once again attempted to put the public record beyond the public's reach. So the fact that he served home confinement already and it did not seem to make a difference, the fact that he's paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in fees, costs, and penalties apparently has not made a difference to him. And so the Independent looked at this and said, we want to bring this motion because we want the judge to have the opportunity to know all of this and to make the decision as to whether Marshal Pope is entitled to be on probation instead of serving the sentence that was handed down for the crime that he committed.